Good evening. Dear Tulsa Real Estate Fund investors, it is with a heavy heart that I must inform you of the imminent closure of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, also known as TREF. Today, the Legacy Center, which is also known as the Black House, was listed for sale. This is the fulcrum that Jay Morrison has been avoiding because it solidifies the sinking of the TREF Titanic, an embarrassing performance of the fund and him as its sole manager. Despite our collective hopes and efforts, the fund's financial situation has deteriorated to a point where liquidation is the only viable option. As the lead investor with $40,000 at stake and a fellow real estate developer, I've been closely monitoring the situation and conducting extensive research into the fund's operations, which can all be found at www.tulsarealestatefraud.com. That's tulsarealestatefraud.com. Over the past year, I've made numerous attempts to communicate privately with Jay Morrison, the fund's manager, to address concerns and seek clarity on the fund's status long before it got to this point. However, my requests for meetings were repeatedly ignored, leaving me with no choice but to share my findings publicly to ensure that all 15,000 investors worldwide are informed about the actions of the fund's management. Based on the limited information available from the fund's outdated SEC filings and a recent investor call on April 2, 2024, it has become apparent that Jay Morrison is proceeding with the liquidation of the fund. The decision is a direct result of the fund's near bankruptcy status, driven by mismanagement, excessive operating costs, and questionable investment practices. At his last State of the Union address on August 11, 2023, the fund only had $575,531 in cash, which has likely been depleted by now. The Legacy Center, aka the Black House, which was owned in cash for a better part of the 6 years, was refinanced, which allowed Jay Morrison to extract another $1.5 million from the fund to cover significant operating losses and his sizable management fee. As investors, we must confront the harsh reality of this situation. The probability of recovering our investment capital is exceedingly low, and the fund's remaining assets are insufficient to cover its liabilities. The most egregious violation appears to be the purchase of Jay Morrison's personal residence using the fund's money through an anonymous LLC, as well as a one-sided agreement for the adjacent 27 acres of land which he will personally own and retain for his family when the fund shuts down and cannot act on the fund's right to develop on that land. While the TREF subscription agreement granted Jay Morrison significant control over the fund's operations, it doesn't absolve him of his fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of the investors. The evidence we have compiled strongly suggests that he has violated this duty through self-dealing, misappropriation of funds, and gross negligence. To address these issues, we have filed numerous complaints, hundreds of complaints, with the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. However, the lack of transparency from these agencies has left us uncertain as to whether our concerns are being properly investigated. The DA's office in particular is currently preoccupied with very high-profile cases which may delay any action on our behalf. In terms of our next steps as investors, many people want to do a class action lawsuit. But class action lawsuits are primarily for going up against big companies that have a lot of assets to draw from on their balance sheet. In this instance, family, there are very few assets to recoup in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, so that would be a waste of time. In light of this, I believe that our best course of action is to mobilize our collective voice and draw attention to our plight. I'm urging all TREF investors to record short videos sharing their stories and experiences with the fund. By posting these videos on social media and tagging the Fulton County DA's office, which is at Fulton County DA, we can put a human face to the thousands of individuals who have been negatively impacted by the situation. If you're willing to join in this effort, please structure your 1 to 2 minute video as follows. 1. State your name, city, and profession. 2. Share how much you invested. 3. Explain why you chose to invest in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. 4. Express your feelings about the fund's collapse amidst one of the greatest real estate booms in history and how your money was used to purchase Jay Morrison's personal residence and the surrounding 27 acres, as well as to line his pockets through management fees and questionable deals with his other companies. And 5. Clearly state what actions you would like the authorities, the SEC or DA, to take, given that the fund remains very little assets to recoup. I'll pause for a second so you can take a screenshot of this, and I encourage you to record your video as soon as this presentation is over while it is top of mind. The more stories we tell, the harder it is for them to ignore us, and the more likely it is that an investigation will take place and justice will be served. It is crucial to emphasize that this is not a personal vendetta against Jay Morrison, but rather an attempt to hold him accountable for his actions as the fund manager. To whom much is given, much is required. We entrusted him with our hard-earned money, and he had a responsibility to manage it with integrity and professionalism. Unfortunately, the evidence suggests that he has failed in this regard, and we are now forced to bear the consequences. To my fellow investors, I understand your pain, anger, and frustration you may be experiencing right here, right now, in this moment. It is easy to second-guess our decision to invest in the fund, but we must remember that we believed in a vision of group economics and community development that was greater than one individual. We could not have foreseen the level of mismanagement and deception that would occur. As we navigate this difficult time together, I encourage you to focus on your own well-being and financial recovery. Do not allow this setback to define or deter you from pursuing your dreams and investing in the future. We must learn from this experience and use it to become better stewards of our resources and advocates of our community. To those who have remained silent, yes, you know who you are, or enabled Jay Morrison's behavior, I implore you to come forward and share what you know. This is not about personal gain or vengeance, but about ensuring that justice is served and that others are not victimized in the future, especially by Jay Morrison. Remember, when Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme collapsed, 5 other individuals were convicted with him for their involvement. We know who you are: LT, MF, JP, MM, TO, TB, and last but not least, EJ. Your names appear on the fund's website in addition to the SEC filings, and you are in photographs and videos. I urge you to come forward with what you know and clear your name before any potential investigations commence. EJ, Jay Morrison's wife in particular, we call upon you to provide proof of payment for the 50-plus hours you spent using the fund's podcasting studio to record your It's Negotiable podcast. With the going rate for studio time in Atlanta at about $75 per hour or more, we demand transparency on whether you have been using the space for free. The money is negligible, but if there is no evidence of payment, it further highlights Jay Morrison's lack of integrity and effort to make the fund successful. The people deserve answers, and this matter is non-negotiable. It is bitter irony that the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, named after the tragic destruction of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, by a white mob, has been burned down from within by a black man who exploited the legacy and resilience of our ancestors for his own personal gain. This is a painful reminder that we must remain vigilant in protecting our communities from those who seek to take advantage of our trust and aspirations. Unfortunately, all skin folk are not kinfolk. To the investors who may be experiencing feelings of shame or embarrassment, I want to assure you that you are not alone and you are not to blame. It is natural for your friends, family, and followers to question your judgment in the wake of this crisis, but I urge all of them to refrain from saying things like, "I told you so," or attacking your intelligence. We made a good faith investment in what we believe to be a promising opportunity for our community. The fault lies with those who abuse our trust, not with us for having faith in the potential for collective economic empowerment. We invested in the right asset class, which is real estate, with the wrong asset manager. I'll repeat that. We invested in the right asset class with the wrong asset manager. $11.7 million could have and should have been leveraged into at least a $40 million real estate portfolio after 6 years. Unfortunately, this particular fund has went bust in the midst of one of real estate's greatest booms. As we move forward, I want to express my deepest gratitude to those who have supported me throughout this ordeal. Your encouragement and solidarity have been a source of strength and motivation for me. I also want to thank the whistleblowers, the investors, non-investors, insiders, influencers, and private investigators who have come forward with information and evidence. Your courage and commitment to the truth are commendable and will not be forgotten. Most importantly, I want to thank all of the TREF investors for their belief in the power of collective action and group economics. Though we have suffered a setback, I believe that our resilience and determination will carry us through this difficult time. We must not allow this experience to dampen our spirits or our resolve to build a better future for ourselves, our children, and our community at large. I urge you to record your videos and share them widely. Let your voices be heard and let us hold those responsible for this travesty accountable. Together, we can ensure that the lessons of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund are never forgotten and that we emerge stronger, wiser, and more unified than ever before. In closing, I call upon Jay Morrison to face the investors he has wronged, even if he manages to evade legal consequences. He owes us an explanation and an apology for his actions. There were only 53 out of 15,000 TREF investors on the April 2nd investor call because the fund's communications and notifications have been sparse or non-existent. This is a public fund and therefore warrants a public explanation and must be able to bear public scrutiny. Therefore, I challenge you, Jay Morrison, to emerge from hiding behind the camera, stand before the people in public, just like your corner classes, and account for your failures as the fund manager face to face with the people. Only by confronting the truth and accepting responsibility can we hope to heal the wounds inflicted upon our community by you. Let us use this moment as a catalyst for change, learning, and growth. May we never forget the hard lessons learned from the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, and may we always strive to uplift and empower one another in the face of adversity. Together, we will rise above this challenge and build a brighter, more equitable future for all. I wish you all strength, wisdom, and perseverance to overcome this obstacle and emerge victorious. Thank you. Please take a moment to record your video, post it on social media, share it with me via DM on Instagram, or post it in our Tulsa Real Estate Fund Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/TREF, TREF life. Thanks.